Hello and welcome to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. My name is Winona, and today I'll be playing the little boy, Mad Lad, who's had a lot of trauma lately. Please be mindful of the warnings that are in the description below, please. And today I am with the wonderful, amazing, very talented, and creative.
Oh, is that where I come in?
Yes.
Carmichael, also known as Mikey, apparently being complimented a lot by my lovely friend Winona today.
Indeed, because you deserve compliments. I love this little.
What?
I love Roguefort, and I love his story.
You say that, and I sweat knowing what's coming for him later.
No, I just smile because you say wait until you see Mad Lad's story later.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm glad everybody loves my little blorbos. I'm glad everybody loves little bugaboo, and I'm glad everybody loves the little fucked up devil boy.
Indeed.
And today, we will be having the 12 FPS called Questions from the Crew. Here are some trigger warnings in advance before we get started. For those of you that may be sensitive to such materials, please proceed with caution, or if you can't listen to it, then hopefully you may find a summary elsewhere. Trigger warnings are Arachnophobia, descriptions of spiders and spider-adjacent horror, Spider-Men, half-drow-half-spiders, also known as driders if you're unaware, Fey nonsense, mind control, lack of free will, hags, discussions of death and rebirth, and discussions of temporary character death. Even with the topics being discussed, I do not expect this to be like it is in my brain. It is both angsty and also comforting, so it's more hurt comfort than full-on angst in my brain.
More hurt comfort. There will be talks of angst, but it's in the past tense. It's very similar to the FPS that I did with Crew, his other father. Yes, a couple days before.
This is a note not in this FPS, but I do have a note on the other FPS that we had before my solo FPS from yesterday. So I'll get back to you on that after this one.
Fair.
But would you like me to roll up the weather for today?
You can if you wanna.
Let me go ahead and get the Dungeon Master's Manual. For those of you that would like to follow along, if you have a physical copy or PDF, this is the Dungeon Master's Guide. And we are looking for page 109, which is the weather. 10, 19, and 5. 10 is normal temperatures for the season, 19 is strong winds, and 5 is no precipitation. So it's likely that this is meant to be a sort of storm front or possibly just an ordinary windy day, but strong wind imposes disadvantage on ranged weapon attack rolls and perception checks that rely on hearing. It also extinguishes open flame, disperses fog, makes flying by non-magical means impossible, flying creatures in strong wind must land or fall. The usual. So it is very windy today.
Very windy.
What is Mad Lad doing?
Well, let me Uno reverse card. What is Roguefort doing?
Well, due to the fact that Roguefort can't really fly, and most of his dinner critters fly, even though they can go ethereal, he would rather go out and hunt or do activities if the dinner critters can be physical and join him. So, seeing as he can't really do much with them in a strongly windy day, they're not actually staying in the treehouse this time. He's actually staying in Ollie's mansion for the moment. Just to try and get used to the place. Check and make sure everything's in its proper place, everything is locked that should remain locked. And just kind of giving himself a walk by means of walking around Ollie's, big-ass mansion.
That's fair. Because,
it's exercise.
Yeah, it's exercise. And do you want to roll a perception?
Sure thing. That does remind me, let me pull up Roguefort's character sheet. I did forget to do that.
You know what? I was gonna say I don't even need a roll. That's like so low. I say, look, I say I rolled for something, and I like, this matches the mood. So yeah,
Okay.
please roll that perception.
His sheet is, of course, somewhere completely different from everyone else's. Size. Let me just get it real quick. If I happen to sound sore or make any sore noises for the audience listening, I was gardening yesterday, and because I'm horribly out of shape, and I assume my time of month is approaching, I am now very physically sore today as a result, and I feel better when I just sit still and do fucking nothing.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, my jaw is also sore, but I think I can chalk that up to how much I talked yesterday for the FPS.
Which is
So,
also fair.
Yeah, that is 5 hours and 41 minutes of solid content.
Damn, 5 hours.
Uh-huh. 5 entire hours. It would have been shorter if I didn't focus on Goldwyn a little bit before. Anyway, Roguefort's perception is... Oh, that's right, he gets a +8. He is the boy that sees. That's a 25.
Look, you've known ever since they gone back, and it's probably been a couple days now since they gone back from the hunting party, and basically, Mad Lad has been sometimes obvious, sometimes less obvious, and even when you pretty sure he's not around, you're also have that back of the mind of he's probably around because like Mad Lad has been basically almost tied to your hip, just making sure you assume that he was all right, and you probably talked to him. He's like, and Mad Lad probably just skid hell's fast. So he's just like, obviously keeping an eye because, yeah, everything that just recently happened. And yeah, you see Mad Lad again stalking you from like corner to corner as you go down the halls. Trying to be sneaky, but honestly, no, he's not.
And Roguefort maintains his patrol for a while, though he takes little side missions, such as pulling out cloths and little handkerchiefs to polish off suits of armor that are sitting on display here and there. The kind that have been labeled safe to touch, not the kind that may clearly obviously be cursed.
Oh, yeah.
And as he lingers, some of the dinner critters kind of look back, but Roguefort, due to the mental link of the hive mind, is just like, don't make it obvious. Don't make it obvious. So, some of them glance back, but then they just glance back to Roguefort. Some of them inspect different items. And clearly see all his dinner critters are out and about, just stretching their legs, stretching their leaves. You know how it is. And eventually, Roguefort decides to head off to the kitchen to make himself and the dinner critters something to eat. And something for Mad Lad, too, though Mad Lad may not know it yet.
Yeah. And Mad Lad just continues following the kitchen, probably hides either behind, like, one of the many, like, cooking islands or something, or just around the corner from the entrance. Yeah.
And I'll go ahead and, just for funsies, I'm gonna roll Chef's tools would be dexterity, I think. Yeah. So that is +4.
And you get proficiency bonus too.
He is not proficient with chef's tools.
Huh. Now that's a surprise, but carry on.
And not that he needs it anyway. That is 18 + 4 for 22. And it smells very good right off the bat. There's a nice fruity tang to it. There's lemon, there's meringue, and it's clear that he's making a lemon meringue pie and some tarts. And and you watch as all these multiple limbs work different tools, mix in flour and ingredients and crust, and, I mentioned flour, but I don't 100% remember if crust has flour, does it?
Crust does have flour.
Okay, thank you. I'm not going crazy then. Okay.
No, you're not going crazy.
Took my brain a second. It's like, crust has flour, right? that is usually a requirement in most baking things is flour, but it is this light, airy, fruity smell that almost wafts with visible lines toward Mad Lad to draw him into the kit, just to draw him closer. And Roguefort waits for it to cook. And with a little ding, he sets out a lemon tart, and 2 entire lemon meringue pies. He takes one of the lemon tarts and just sets it down for the dinner critters to go to town on. And then says aloud, let me put on the, I believe since I've turned it down, this should work now.
Well, let's see.
You may take your food now, Monsieur Mad Lad.
Mad Lad freezes. and similar to a kid being caught, he just slowly comes into the kitchen.
And Roguefort just gives him a little googly eye, side eye, just a pleasant little greeting glance. There's a smile in the eyes, not one on the face, obviously.
Yeah, do you want to roll an insight?
Go on. Take the tart.
Mad Lad slowly does, but yeah, do you want to roll an insight for me?
I will. I just wanted to say that first.
Fair enough.
Insight is +2, so.
Roll with advantage. You've been with this kid long enough.
I'm not gonna say anything out loud. That might influence my roll. I'm not gonna say anything out loud. 16.
Yeah, this kid is doing shit. This kid is not doing good at all. There's definitely anxiety, there is fear, there is a bit of sadness, but there's more fear, and there's also something that he's like he wants to talk about, but he's just like I don't want to bring back the memories, but at the same time and he doesn't even say anything. It's just like sort of the look on his face as he goes over and takes one of the tarts.
And Roguefort cuts himself a slice of the lemon meringue pie, and then writes down a beautifully handwritten cursive note that says that the meringue pies are for anyone else that wants them. Please remember to take a slice and leave some for others. And sets that down, and goes over and sits on a couch. And pats the sofa, that way Mad Lad can join him.
Yeah, Mad Lad takes out some silverware and has a little plate with. I'm guessing the tart's on a plate.
Mm-hmm.
And Mad Lad takes takes a fork, takes a knife, takes the tart, and sits beside Roguefort. He doesn't eat yet.
Roguefort doesn't immediately eat either because he was waiting on Mad Lad to start. And Mad Lad is not starting the eating process.
Yeah, Mad Lad doesn't even eat. You can definitely, again, from that insight, he's tense. He feels uncomfortable right now.
You know I would not poison your food. It will get cold if you do not eat it soon.
I know. And upon, Roguefort say that he does start cutting his tart. And I know, I trust you, Roguefort.
He tilts his head and his antenna kind of flick and just move here and there.
Is something bothering you?
I, I mean, isn't it obvious? Everything that just happened.
I made tarts and pies?
You know what I mean. Back, during the hunting party.
Oh, oh, that. Oh, you don't need to worry about that. It
Everything
happened
needs
to
to
be
be a worry
everyone.
about it. And Mad Lad almost slams his plate, and he's just angry. You almost died.
Almost?
Yeah, we had to bring you back to life.
Then that would mean I did die.
Yes, you died. You came back. There's. He just. He's like gripping his plate, almost to the point of snapping it.
Monsieur Madlad, I apologize if that was incredibly troubling to watch and to go through, and for putting you through it. But this is not the first time I've died.
Yeah, I know. Your your ex definitely told us a lot of information.
Oh, why would you listen to him?
And he just he pulls up his slice of lemon meringue pie, and though you don't see a mouth, you do start seeing it start disappearing. He doesn't actually use any utensils with it, though. He kind of just pulls the plate up to his face and just holds it there. Almost like he's holding up food to a horse. And it just starts disappearing. Bite, 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 bite.
One doesn't have to like a person to not be to tell the truth. You can still tell the truth and not like the person who's telling the truth.
And what did he tell you exactly?
That you're secretly a sugar plum fairy.
Roguefort glances over to Mad Lad, and for a brief moment, the camera sort of pans out on the fact that Roguefort has not been disguised for several weeks, and has looked quite visibly, obviously, like a sugar plum fairy for several weeks. And there are some large cartoon arrows pointing at that, just saying, has not been disguised for several weeks. Is very obviously a sugar plum fairy to anybody with eyes.
I was not aware I was hiding it at this point. Did he also tell you that I happen to have a dinner sword? And that I don't like guns? And that he still thinks I'm quite handsome, even though I wish he would not? He states the obvious a lot. It's just a thing he does.
Yes, but you're also a slave.
Oh, what?
That gets him to kind of lower the plate and look at Mad Lad, a little less amused and a little more annoyed looking.
He does the counting finger. Punchy, Bella, Granny, Bunty. 3 hags.
What? No?
Let's say, who are controlling you. Particularly Bunty, but.
And he's going to set the plate down. And two of his arms fold around his chest, and the other two just come up and rub his face. One hand rubs the bridge of the nose, or where the nose was, and only the bridge remains.
Tactless, careless, and stupid. These tend to be defining traits of a moron these days. Yes, I do work for their food court. Yes, I do particular work for the 3 head chefs. They are not hags. And though I do not like doing all of the work, I do it anyway. And I sometimes do it of my own accord, but usually do it because it is what I owe them.
But when they say that at the same time there's work that you haven't done, and I think I remember him mentioning that you had other kids that you liked and you had to bring to them. And
Stop!
I want the truth.
And I don't want you prodding around asking questions about people you should not be hearing about.
You think
The
I like
conversation
doing
is
this?
immediately over.
You think I like doing this?
He
You
takes
think
his slice of lemon meringue pie and starts walking off.
Mad Lad follows him. You think I like doing this? You think I want you to prod you? Want to ask you these questions? No, I do not. But I care about you. I see you as a father.
You really shouldn't. I would stop that at once.
I don't fucking care. I know what I feel. And I care about you and I want you to be safe. And I can't do that if I don't know everything.
I'm actually going to roll athletics for Roguefort. So that is 1d20 plus 3. He has a surprising modifier to his athletics.
And you can also see Mad Lad starting to cry.
That's a nat 1 plus 3. So, the intent at first was to grab Mad Lad by the scruff of his neck. But there's the tears, and Roguefort falters. And instead, sets one clawed hand on Mad Lad's shoulder. And sort of kneel squats down to where he's at least vaguely eye level. He is, again, I cannot stress enough, 10 feet tall.
No, I understand it. This is a tall boy.
This is an exercise.
Yeah,
this is an exercise.
This is a tall boy.
Look, I understand that what happened to me back then was distressing. You already cried plenty back there at the clinic. I get that. And I understand that you care and you wish to see me safe and happy. But if you wish to see me safe and happy, you will not ask any more questions.
You don't think I've heard a threat like that before?
It's
You
not
don't
a threat.
You don't get it. I've seen now twice. My whole crew died. I knew my mom was not telling me everything. And I was kept in the dark for a while. I don't want you to end up in their place permanently. If there's anything I can do, I want to do it. And I don't like doing this. I don't like pressuring you. I don't like prodding you in this sort of way. I hate it. But if I don't do anything, I know I'm gonna regret it more later.
Roll me persuasion.
Alright, let's roll a simple persuasion. Nat 20!
He looks at you for a moment. Would you roll me an insight check with advantage on that nat 20?
Yes. Okay, decent for the first one. That's a 15. And that's an 8. So that's a 15 plus 3, so 18.
That actually was the DC you needed to beat.
Ah,
believe it or
meets
not.
a pizza. You gotta love it.
Yeah, no, the 18 is not an easy one.
Not
And
at all.
with good reason here, unfortunately. The quiet is palpable in the moment. And Roguefort does look moved by your words, but he remains quiet for a while. And before Mad Lad can interrupt that silence, there's a sort of look not just in his eyes, but in the eyes of the other dinner critters. And something to the way that he moves and quiets his voice down that gives a certain feeling. And it's not like Mad Lad is going to understand what that feeling immediately is. But on an 18, it at least recognizes that questions and answers sometimes are well and good, but sometimes answering questions puts someone in more danger than they were in previously. And with the way that Roguefort is not only carefully choosing his words, but trying to maintain a very gentle and reassuring grip on Mad Lad's shoulders, is that, as he's about to say,
Look, there are a lot of things I would love to talk about. I would love to talk about the years I spent training on the coast, but I barely remember the coast. I'd love to talk about my family. I barely remember my family. I would love to talk about all those kids that you bring up. But there are some that I remember quite distinctly. Some I barely remember and some I do not. However, the important thing to note with all of this is some of it I can discuss. Most of it I cannot. It is a breach of privacy in the code of conduct with the food court for me to discuss too much. Do you understand?
and that undertone on the 18, the best comparison I can make, and again, Mad Lad would not immediately make sense of it, but that's the general feeling, is you know how sometimes if someone asks too many questions or prods too much into an abused kid's house, that sometimes their parents notice and make it worse?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's this. Roguefort is, in not so many words, trying to maybe warn Mad Lad. He can maybe talk about some of it, but he can't tell Mad Lad everything and also doesn't know everything. And maybe Mad Lad shouldn't ask about everything.
That gives a little sigh. Maybe you can't talk to me about everything. And I know that you don't want me to be hurt. But I say, I know a lot of stuff now, and you know a lot of stuff about what happened, and I know you don't remember everything, but I'm not giving up on you. And I know a way to at least help and or make it, I don't know, make it go away, but
Stop it. Stop. Don't. Don't start making promises you can't keep. Alright? I've seen people do it a lot.
I,
People older than you and more experienced than you do it a lot. Don't.
I can at least promise to help you do one thing. But I also don't want you to lash out at me suggesting it. I'm trying to be calm. I'm trying to understand like fake bullshit and everything. I don't want to make you worse, but at the same time, I know at least know one way to make it better.
Is it the way that Omaron told you?
I mean, I again, you don't have to like a person to know that they're telling the truth.
I
And
just asked if it was Omoran that told you.
it was.
The antennae flick again, but after rolling his eyes a bit, not toward Mad Lad. Again, it's just there's an internal thought that Mad Lad cannot actually read, even on an 18,
Mm-hmm.
but he at least knows he's not rolling his eyes at him before he continues.
How about we head to a different room, eh? How's that?
All right, let's head to a different room.
I don't like talking in the hallway. And I
Un-
don't like talking near windows.
okay.
And he pats him on the shoulder, and maintaining lemon meringue pie slice and making sure it doesn't go anywhere, he's going to start heading back toward a more internalized room of the mansion and away from all the fuck off big windows in every hallway.
Yeah, even probably Mad Lad. He's just like, if you want somewhere really secret, I know a place that is off the grid.
I am curious, but I would rather stay in the mansion, if that is alright with you.
That's fine. I mean, technically, it's not off the grid. I don't know exactly what that means, but it's just like it's a secret place that I know of that no one hardly goes there. So yeah.
Off the grid usually means you are off of social circles, you are off of connections by means of magic or electronics. Depending on the electronic, I still don't understand what is and is not advanced on this material plane.
It's weird.
And usually means you are completely disconnected from society but cannot be tracked by any way. At least by most of society's standards.
All right, that's fair.
Where is this place you would want to take us if we do not head further into the mansion?
It's technically in Toontown, so maybe it's a bit too far.
Yeah, I would rather stay in the building.
That's fair.
And so he heads up to the next floor. And if I recall the model correctly, it should hopefully be in a well building or something.
Say we
I remember.
say it's they can find a private spot.
Yeah, we'll say it's. We'll say it's one of the studies.
I mean, doesn't the mansion also have an attic?
Yeah, Roguefort's not going to the attic.
That's fair.
Roguefort do not like the vibes up there. He's not going to the attic.
Fair.
But he's going to find an old study. And once Manlight comes in, he's going to close the door behind him. Make sure everything else is closed down. He can't lock anything, and that's fine. It just needs to be shut.
Mm-hmm.
Alright. What did Omi tell you?
All right. To recap slightly, the three people that are running the coven are all hags. Granny Bunty is actually named Buntilda. She's the head hag. I mean,
You would not call them a head hag, you would just call them a grandmother.
huh? Okay, good to know. Let's see. I think I remember that Punchy likes eating. No, is it? Yeah, Punchy likes eating people. Bella likes rare exotic ingredients.
I mean, they all like their exotic ingredients. The land of provision is full of ingredients that cannot be found anywhere else in the Feywild or material plane. It is an incredibly valuable resource of trade.
That's fair. I just say he just mentioned like they sort of had specialties.
They cover each other's ground well enough. You need to have that in the kitchen. Who handles what?
Yeah. That's fair. That's also fair. But continue on. Every time you've died, they've rebaked you, and he says that in quotation marks. And
Roguefort grimaces at that.
yeah, I did not like hearing that either.
What did Omi tell you would help? Skip ahead of everything else.
Okay, and Madlad's just making sure he's sitting down.
Roguefort is more or less, yeah, he's sitting in a single wooden chair that is obviously not made for a 10-foot tall, elvish-looking bug.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
you know.
Madlad takes a deep breath, and he's like, okay, to start, I'm gonna to do a little bit of background. He told us a bit about sugar plum berries,
He
and
claims he likes to know a lot about those.
yeah, and one specific thing that he pointed out is that they go through a cycle of rebirth, and he used the phoenix analogy, and unfortunately,
Above board, someone else used the Phoenix analogy. He just agreed with it.
fair enough. Madlad is retelling this, so maybe not.
Yeah, no, it's fair. It's just I'm also telling the audience that, like, there will be slight inaccuracies in the small child.
Yes. And
I'm gonna roll him Arcana real quick, by the way. So, don't worry about it. It's fine. The Arcana is for nothing in particular. Do not worry about it.
yeah, and this cycle is very important to sugar plum berries. It helps rejuvenate them and make them more powerful, or maybe in this case, bring you back up to proper strength, whatever that is. He did mention that you two were actually a really good hunting pair. Ugh. He does a little bit gratuitous at that, mainly just because Rogue Retail is just like, Mad Lad is into the lovey-dovey stuff.
We used to be quite a duo. Emphasis on used to be.
Yeah, but however, there's a catch to this rebirth to make sure that you remember everything and you don't. I mean, you change, but you don't, like, change that much. Or at least, it's a little bit weird, but basically, you must
He's just nibbling at the lemon meringue pie while you talk.
Yeah, he's like, he said that you must cocoon in a place that holds the most nostalgic and fondest of memories to you.
I do not recall feeling the instinct to cocoon, so not sure where I picked that up.
Yeah, that's because every time you died, the headsets have brought you back, so you never had a chance to recocoon.
Wait, huh?
Yes.
He picks his head up from the lemon meringue pie for a minute.
Yeah. The rebaking stuff, not natural. This is a...
No, I get that part. I cannot make a cocoon after death. I can... Usually creatures can only make a cocoon when they are among the living.
He says you must die at the place that you is a wholesome...
Oh, here he goes with this nonsense again.
And he puts his face right back in the lemon meringue pie. And you just watch as there is a big ol' boing taken out of it.
Yeah, that's
He'll
like...
give you just about any excuse to try and kill me. That's just what he does.
Unfortunately, he wasn't lying when he told it to the three of us.
Says you.
I'm pretty good to say... Between the three of us, we all knew he was telling the truth.
He is also a Drider, and Drider are excellent liars.
He did not kill us because he wanted you to do this. He would have... If he really wanted us gone, we would have been gone already. He
didn't kill you because he was after me, and he made his point clear. He killed me and embarrassed me. He
Look,
got what he wanted.
here's the reason why that you're still alive. He gave us this diamond fruit to bring you back. So you can do this correctly.
He probably gave it to you just to prove a point.
No, because I traded my most valuable item that I ever owned to him to do this.
You gave something to him?
Again, complete bastard. But he still gave us the diamond.
You gave... What did you give him?
My grandma's scale and my grandma is an ancient sapphire dragon.
I have a soundboard. Hang on. I have a sound effect for just a split second. That is the sound of him blinking.
No, I got that. That's a perfect sound.
And that is just he and the Didikers just blink for a minute and process. He takes a deep breath and sighs and sets aside his plate to bury his face in all four of his hands. He doesn't say anything. He just buries his face in his hands.
Look, I wouldn't have done this if I knew he was lying. And despite whatever history you had with him, and Mad Lad sort of just like does like a hand motions of whatever. I don't want to say he cares about you, but at the same time, I don't know what other word to put it. He wants the best in your well-being. Maybe that's a better phrase. But I say, like, Caitlin and Sue will back me up if you want me to get them. I am not none of us had any new had no inclinations, no sort of bad feelings. No, he was telling the peckin' truth.
Ooh. That is a wisdom save at disadvantage. 11 does not make it. Roguefort takes a deep breath. Sighs.
Mad Lad. I'm sorry he took such a precious object from you. But you have been tricked. And in his trick, you've given him something incredibly important he can use.
Look, I'll bring in my grandfather if I have to prove this to you.
How about you don't bring in anybody? How about, instead, you just forget Amaran said that, because at the end of the day, he just wants me dead so he can gloat about the fact he killed me. How's that?
No, it's not. I understand this. I don't get this rivalry thing. I really don't.
This is not a rivalry thing. This is a... You shouldn't take him at his word thing because he's a backstabbing bitch and a bastard.
Then let's get a third opinion. Let's bring in my grandfather. He knows every story.
We are absolutely not bringing anybody else in. I told you we are keeping this a quiet conversation.
Mad Lad.
This is just between us. We are not bringing anyone else in. You're not bringing in a dragon of any kind. Nothing. Do you understand?
Yes, and he's getting a bit heated himself, and he just takes a deep breath and just sits down.
Monsieur Omeron has been trying to convince me that he has had my best interests in mind for several decades. This would perhaps be a little easier to believe if he was not the one that betrayed me and ran to the court of poisons, and if he was not the one continually trying to kill me to prove his funny little points to his friends.
So this is all about. Say it's all about revenge. It's you can't let go of this one thing.
Oh, I can let go just fine. He cannot.
And you don't think that sort of say that makes it a little bit weird? I mean,
That makes it unhealthy. He should get a hugger.
I'm not saying that you're wrong, but at the same time,
It doesn't make him trustworthy either.
unfortunately, trustworthy people can make good points.
We are going to put what Omarana said about killing me on a shelf for me to deal with later. Alright? We are going to move on from that subject. Alright?
For now, yes.
Now, here's how this is going to work. You are going to ask me a question. I am going to tell you if I can answer it or not. Alright? If I say I cannot answer it, do not try.
Mad Lad gives a nod.
Omaron's already told you too much for you to be safe with that knowledge. If I happen to tell you too much as well, not only will it put you in even more hot water, then it puts me in the pot. Again. For the umpteenth time. So, I would like to not make the situation worse on you. The
The unspoken thing is, of course, and not make it worse on himself either.
Yeah.
Because again, it's the metaphor about asking a kid about a house that's not good.
Yeah.
And if they find out you're asking, it's gonna get worse. And you're gonna regret it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes trying to help without being careful about it makes it a million times worse and there's no fixing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, one at a time. First question.
Mm. Hmm. Mad Lad just sort of sits there for a minute. God damn, I had a question, but my brain just blanked.
Also, your tart is cool now. I would continue eating that so that way it does not get cold.
Okay, that was out of character, but Mad Lad does say does.
No, I know it was out of character, but in character, yeah, he'd tell you to eat the fucking food. He made food. Don't let it get cold.
That's fair. Mad Lad does continue to eat it. Maybe a question to start off with is, how'd you do it? How did they did not discover what you are?
Allow me to make a dice roll for that one. What is your intelligence modifier for memory? +1. Not great compared to Belle. Not great.
Mm-hmm.
Basic assumption is I just maintained a disguise, but truthfully I do not know. Before I visited that magical spa with Monsieur Otto, I was not aware there was a secondary layer under all of these. I was aware that I was hiding how I looked because I was related to someone the head chef did not like. However, I was not aware of the sugar plum bit. Or at least I did not recall the sugar plum bit. So I do not know how I maintained that or how I started it.
Mad Lad gives a little bit nod. That kind of makes sense. Unfortunately, the sugar plums worked with the previous head chef, say, alongside them. And unfortunately, in the I don't know exactly what happened, but in the middle of taking down the previous head chef, they got caught in the crossfire because of Batilda's revenge.
And I'm gonna roll again for Roguefort. Okay, solid. Another wisdom save. Let me roll to see if that's straight or disadvantage. Okay, straight roll this time. I'm not gonna say a fucking word on what I'm hoping to get. Just a straight roll. Just a straight wisdom saving throw. Just a +2. That's not good enough, honey.
Mm.
Roguefort doesn't say anything. You don't notice anything visually either. He's just quiet. So you just assume he's waiting on the next question?
Well, that's fine. He's not very sure if he expected an answer or not, but he also was told that his memory was a bit fuzzy.
A bit is an understatement, but continue.
Yeah. Mad Lad is just, say, sort of thinks a little bit. He's just like, if you remember some things, do you remember any of the other young kids? What happened to them?
Brain roll.
Dang.
Oh.
Mm.
The one time that maybe I would not have wanted a nat 20.
Mm-hmm.
The grim and neutral expression he had been wearing falls. It darkens, but not in an angry way. The antennae droop, the googly eyes dim, and he looks at the half-eaten meringue pie on the plate. And when the dinner critters, when some of them materialize and look up to him with their own worrisome little googly eyes, there are brief flashes. Similar situations playing out, time and time again. Sometimes it's unexpected, and they try bringing him back to a house to explain. Sometimes it's a baby in a crib. Sometimes it's an adventuring party picking a fight that they shouldn't. And one of his kids is sitting in the back with an instrument. Every single little thing ends one of two ways in his head. Please restate the question, so that way Roguefort can say it. As much as he maybe doesn't want to.
I know he had some other kids say what happened to them.
I don't have any more children.
Mad Lad
That is all.
Mad Lad gives a little nod. Sees where the face journey is just like, yeah, something really bad happened.
Multiple somethings.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, as mentioned, he doesn't remember every relative, but the ones that he does, the kids, like Mad Lad, that have tried to help or have tried to stop Roguefort from carrying out his duties, one way or another, they stop.
Yeah, Mad Lad probably even scoots closer and gives Roguefort a hug.
Roguefort does not hug him back this time. He just stares at the pie on the plate.
I figured it was safe enough to stop settling. Anytime I would get comfortable with a public or private relationship, eventually I would be reminded that business comes first, and I would be given a choice. Abandon them or endanger them.
My lad just gives a little nod.
At this point, I've chosen the safest option.
I can see that. I'm sorry.
Don't be. I really should have seen it coming the first time it happened. And should have maybe stopped when I was ahead. But sometimes a mortal's just really nice. Sometimes the idea of sitting in a little cottage on the coast is nice. And sometimes I forget my place.
And he just takes another invisible bite of the pie.
Is that where is the coast the place that holds the most nostalgic and fondness for you?
There's a brief moment that Roguefort does finally look at you. And while his expression doesn't brighten any, and you kind of feel like he is half there, blissfully aware he is talking to you, and he is half somewhere else, absolutely not in the room in the slightest, and not wanting to talk. But tired, googly eyes turn to look at you from the side. Because I assume you're still maintaining the hug.
Yeah, he's still maintaining the hug.
And there is a brief moment where you can't tell if it's because of the way his expression looks, with the lack of a mouth, with these big, disarming, googly eyes, and all these other parts. You kind of can't tell in this moment whether the look that he gives you, due to how grim his expression is meant to be threatening or not. You would need to roll insight.
Alright,
Above board, it's absolutely not a threat, but unfortunately it does conveniently look like a glare. It's just his resting face at the moment, but roll insight.
Alright, that's a 17. What's your insight, boy? Oh, 3. So that's a dirty 20.
Roguefort this is not intended to be a threatening look. It just looks that way because of the way his face looks and the fact that he is not thinking good things. Not about Mad Lad, just unfortunately the question has put his brain somewhere it doesn't like being.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere it doesn't remember fully, but maybe a part of him selfishly thinks shouldn't remember at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's as if he can kind of, even though the elf-like look to this large humanoid wasp adds a pseudo-humanity to the appearance, this expression is not human. When he is looking through your words and looking into what you're saying, it is not with a human thought. It is an alien look to you, because it is a fey look. And it is... Hi, audience member, you should be muted.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I'll leave, sorry about that.
Apologies. Sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
Continuing. And as he looks through your words, and he looks through your intent, you can kind of, what little you can understand of this look is you think maybe he's trying to parse whether this is safe to talk about or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yes, you are a little boy. you said you've seen him as a father. But you did a lot of prying, and there are a lot of ways you responded that say you don't fully understand the situation, in spite of what Omeron has led you to believe. Which is not Mad Lad's fault. And in spite of how he's been reacting, he knows that. Of course, there's also the thought that he, of all things, doesn't want to involve a fucking dragon. Absolutely fucking not.
Unfortunately, this kid has a lot of emotions. And he wants to try to, convince him because he's scared. He's, down deep in him, he's scared for him.
Yeah, and he's scared, but if he steps wrong, his grandparents are never going to find out where he went, and they're never going to find his body.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks for a moment. And then you watch him glance to the rapier, still sitting at his hip. The rapier that he refuses to unequip under any circumstance, even a casual one.
Mm-hmm.
There's a glance to it, and then he glances toward the door. And in his mind, he's not glancing at a door. To you, it looks like he's kind of staring into nothing, which he is. In his mind, he's standing on a watercolor coastline, looking at a mostly white horizon with the occasional splash of paint for the sun. The breeze is in his hair. The waves try and lap at his taloned buggy feet. There's a sort of persuasion, a temptation, a sort of draw toward the water, toward the ocean, away from everything and everyone, away from every problem, away from every fire, every tragedy, every heartache, and away from the oven. It is a temptation that Roguefort has sadly never taken, because he knows, no matter how far he goes, he will be pulled back to the kitchen. One way or the other. So when Mad Lad asks if that place holds the most nostalgia, he goes,
That is such an odd question for a little boy like you to ask, isn't it?
Yeah, probably.
But I do like the coast. The coast of the land of provision is a peaceful and quiet place. I was trained there in the ways of the ranger before the head chef picked me up.
Mad Lad nods. Yeah, I think you told me about it a bit on the camping trip.
Mm-hmm. Also, it would be preferable and advisable to not incur someone's wrath for you to call her Grandma Bunny.
I swear I said Bunty, but good note, and he gives a small thumbs up.
Yes, I know what you said. She goes by Bunny.
Oh, goes by Bunny. Okay.
She prides herself on looking beautiful and serene and sweet and so endearing to her audiences. It helps fulfill a professional image to her and gives others a sense of trust in her business.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the moment I heard her name, I sort of got a feeling like I knew a bitch when I saw one.
I would watch what you were saying if I were you.
Sorry. I have a lot of feelings.
It's fine. I would say something, but I'd rather not risk my position.
I
He
understand.
pats you on the head, and he kind of gives an expression like, I wish I could say fun words. Unfortunately, I am not fully allowed.
No.
The very first thing he does, if he's possibly freed from the hags, is just swear so goddamn much and say so much anti-hag shit. It
No.
honestly makes the sense sweat, but
No.
that's an if.
Yeah.
This is a big if.
Yeah. And Mad Lad was raised to be swear like a sailor. So
Uh-huh.
Mad Lad's just like, what? Say, is it like all food related stuff? Like, is like all the plants related? Say, told me a little bit. Like, there's like, it's like the coral food. Like, is it like hard candy or like?
Well, no, not quite. See, the land of provision, this is the domain of the light where I am from, is a land where you never go hungry and you are never found wanting. Everything there can be eaten by someone. You are never left to starve. Of course, hunger could be met in any number of ways, not just in food.
Ah, I see. Continue.
But admittedly, you could use the coral as a seasoning.
I was just curious because I like thinking of like a Candyland sort of situation.
Mm, there is an area that is like that, but, well, there are areas like that, and there are many creatures that follow such a formula. The whole land itself is not based on sweets. You can eat just about everything you find, but some of it you can only eat once.
He says that with one claw held up, with the very clear implication that, yeah, you could eat everything in there, but some of it, you can eat it once, and then you'll never eat anything ever again because you'll be fucking dead.
Mad Lad gives a little bit a nod. He's like, ah, I see.
It is a land of pure imagination. And it should be a place where you feel safe and happy, and you'll never have to struggle for what you have. Should being the emphasis. It is a little rough around the edges now.
That's putting it lightly, but
Oh no, it is not putting it lightly. You have not seen it, and I pray you do not. You would not last a minute.
Mad Lad's not very sure how to take that right now, so he's not going to say anything. His confidence was already shot.
But in a way, I would say that the coast does hold a lot of fond feelings for me, as little as I see it. So, I do not know if it would be the place that holds the most nostalgia, but I would say I like it a lot. I enjoy the breeze anywhere I go, but the breeze over the ocean is most crisp and clear, like freshly cracked ice in a glass.
Mad Lad gives a little nod to that. Yeah, I definitely could tell you liked the coast when we went to it. I don't know, just that small moment when we were looking out.
Mm-hmm. Next question?
Mm, not really good at having questions in this sort of situation. He sort of pouts a little bit.
You got yourself into this mess, monsieur. You're the one to get yourself out of it.
Mm,
But if you have no more questions...
And Roguefort almost playfully starts to remove Mad Lad from the hug and start to get up.
no, don't go yet. I want to fix this. I have to fix this.
No, you don't. You don't have to fix anything. You are a little boy who should be focused on having his own adventures and living a full, long life, not getting involved in affairs of a Feywild.
But I wanna. But I wanna. I. I just.
I know.
And he reaches a hand over, just to pat Mad Lad's head.
I know. I would like to believe, maybe, in the future, such a situation can change. But as it stands, right now, some things you must accept you can do nothing for.
I still think that despite him being a bastard, it's still. And he just sort of just curls in on himself. He feels like he has the answer, but say no one's listening to him, or at least partial of the answer. Like, this is a kid. He doesn't know the full answer, but he knows at least one thing that could possibly help.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Roguefort is both in the mental and familial position where even if he wanted to ask, or even if he did believe him, which he does at least to a degree, unfortunately, the oven's influence on him is ironclad. There's no really looking into it. Roguefort, he would like to rebel against his position, but he's done this how many times now? And every single time it fails. Every single time people die. And every single time he just has to live with the guilt until he is merciful enough to forget.
Yeah, and Nyla just sort of sits there and she's like, you see how wrong this is, right? When I just. This. It's no. No one should have to face what you do. No one should take their wrath. Like you said, this place was. Say. The land of provision is a happy place, and they're just not making it that way.
His expression shows an agreement. His mouth does not, and there is reason for that. But the expression is an agreement that, yes, the situation is wrong. And Roguefort does not feel great about what he has to say.
Maybe so. But it is still a situation I must handle with dedication and grace.
And I want to help you with that. I'll get stronger. I promise I will.
No. No. I will not have you do that.
But I wanna.
I know. But no. I know children are capable of incredible things. And you are capable of incredible acts of bravery and stupidity, given the right circumstances. But as much as a child can overcome, not this.
Maybe not alone, but
Not this.
I would even do it. I would even perform the act myself if it meant it would help.
No. Stop. Just stop. Let me put this in a way that maybe makes the most sense, alright?
And he sets all four of his hands on Mad Lad after setting his pie aside, and gets down to proper eye level.
I will not have any more children die on my watch. Or for me. Or by me. Do you understand?
And Mad Lad is just he grits his teeth, but it's sort of in an act like he wants to say yes, but at the same time he just hugs Roguefort.
Let me roll him one more with save. So that is +2. So 1d20 +2. That's an S, not a D. I really need to get a new keyboard.
Oh!
I love how this just keeps kicking in conveniently whenever he's getting hugged, and whenever he needs to express emotions and actually express himself, instead of just repressing it all.
Ah!
So, he sits there a moment. But it is only a moment, and you feel all 4 arms carefully wrap around you. It's a very nice hug. It's a little bony, a little sticky. He smells kind of weird considering the mix mash of food, but it's not a bad weird.
Fair
And
enough.
there is, of course, this persistent smell of salt from somewhere, but you can't place where. But he hugs you, and he hugs Mad Lad, and he holds it for at least a good moment. He's gotten some practice with the hugs. He's still a little stiff with it, but it's a good hug. It's a start. And Roguefort is the first one to pull off of it.
I appreciate that you want to help. Truly I do. But it would bring me peace of mind if you would accept that this is out of your hands. And that it would be safer for you, and safer for me to sleep at night, if you did not endanger yourself for my sake. Do you understand?
My lad does give a nod. I won't endanger myself if you don't want me to.
Good lad.
He reaches up and he pets Mad Lad's head.
Now, I'm going to say this. And when I say this, I want to make it clear that this is not said in a discouraging tone. As soft as I'm speaking, this is a warning. Omaron already endangered you by telling you a lot. A lot of which I cannot comment on. A lot of which you should not be told. I will do my best to hope and pray that the head chefs do not find out that you have been told such things. But for your sake and your safety, you need to not ask about them anymore. Understood?
Mad lad gives a nod. All right. I won't tell anyone. I mean, I wasn't going to, but yeah.
Roguefort is actually gonna roll insight on that. Mostly because he knows there are multiple people in the guild that have expressed concern over a situation. So if Mad Lad did talk, he unfortunately knows Mad Lad would have some listening ears, but he can't have anybody else talking to each other. He just can't. So that is insight +2. What a pissy little number. And that's a 16. Is Mad Lad being honest about not telling anybody?
Kind of. He is being honest, at least in Roguefort's eyes. Like, I won't tell anyone who doesn't know, but at the same time, he does sort of want to still tell Caitlin and Sue about what just sort of happened, because they sort of know too. So it's just like, yeah.
Roguefort thinks in a moment. And you can see just the slightest, saddest little smile in his eyes as he just goes,
Then it will be our little secret. Me?
What about Caitlin and Sue?
Like I said, our little secret. That did not just mean the two of us. But it would also be best for them not to go digging their nose into anything either.
My lad does give a little smile about that. Progress is progress in his mind.
Also, if you're going to speak of the head chefs in the future, the safest way to refer to them is by their preferred names. Bella is perfectly fine. Punchy is also fine. Miss Bunny goes by Bunny. Alright?
All right, Bunny. But I'll be honest
Bunny?
with you. But I'll be honest with you, Mikey. I thought you said Bunty when you were talking in the game.
No, I get it. That's why I clarified. That's why I enunciated the in.
Yeah, I put that in my notes. I was just like, okay, I need to correct that now.
So, Bunny, Punchy, Bella.
Bunny, Punchy, Bella. Okay.
And if you are to speak of them, you do not speak ill of them. Understood?
Yes. Mad Lad gives a side eye because he's like, I curse a lot, but I will try, I will do my best not to be like a sailor.
Now, would you do me a favor and would you roll me a stealth check?
Yeah.
And I'll roll Roguefort one too.
Let's see. Yeah, that's shit, but honestly, it's in the mood. Yeah, that's a 4 plus 4. That's an 8.
Okay, so give me a moment. Okay, that has 2 hours left to process. Neat, cool. I need to pull up some numbers because this is, in fact, important to something.
Mm-hmm.
It is a surprise tool that may help or become a problem depending on how this dice roll goes. You laugh now. You will not be laughing in a minute.
Look, I've been a DM for multiple years. I find it amusing. I find everything amusing, whether it be harm or to help. Because I would not hesitate to do the same thing.
Okay, so... maybe my jaw muscle hurts because of the way I had bent to just tamp the soil in the flower pots? Apologies, I'm complaining about the slight jaw soreness. It's not like the full jaw, it's just like the hinge that's connected to the neck. That muscle.
That muscle? Possibly, yeah, like, but for bending over too much? Maybe that's I thought it meant your jaw, and I was thinking that
Nah.
probably... Yeah.
It's like the connective area between the neck, the jaw, and the ear. That
Yeah.
probably makes sense.
Yeah, it probably makes sense.
Okay, so if the web page would load, maybe, and these deer would stop staring at me.
Oh dear.
How to calculate average. Because this is an average. This is a group roll, and I need to calculate the average here. This is a unfortunately, this is math.
Math is hard.
Math is my sworn enemy, but I am trying to make. I'm trying. Okay,
Same here.
What
I pat
is
you.
the average of? What did you say your number was?
Let's say
8.
my stealth.
Okay.
Yeah, my stealth is
So-
8.
What is the average of 20 and 8? Average calculator. Oh hey, neat. Thank you for giving me an average calculator. I don't need to. I don't need to do any funky yunky math. Okay. So please provide numbers separated by comma. Okay, so 20 and 8. Calculate. It's not great. Give me a moment. Oh, wrong page. I'm a fool. Hang on, where's the bestiary? There we go. Because I need to pull something up real quick. And I just want to make sure that I get the folklore right. So... Ignore the yawn, by the way. I actually slept pretty soundly, but I did wake up way too early today. Hubba-dubba. And... Sorry, give me a moment to continue looking through here.
Oh no, you're fine.
Oh, that's right. Where's the, hang on. Okay. Brain, is her sheet, okay, her sheet is here, actually. God fucking damn it, that's right. Okay. So I'm going to roll a 1d2 before I make any other things. 1, it is someone specific. 2, it is something specific. Thing! Okay, it is not her. She shows up later then. Gotcha. Let's see. I would like to stop yawning. Please let me stop yawning. Okay, let me write some things down. Don't fucking mind me.
I will mind you, but continue on.
Give me a moment. What is... And scrolling back up for a moment. I was wondering why this is in the list. That's not a fae, that's just spelled with fae in it. Why is this here?
Hey, sometimes that happens.
Okay, so I am going to roll a 1, 2, 3, and it'll be a 4. We'll say it's a d4. And that'll be what I roll perception for. Actually, we'll make it a 1d5. If it's a 5, we go with the sum 1 instead of the thing.
Fair enough.
Huh? Okay, so 1, 2, and what is your okie dokie? Okie dokie. Oh, you hover. You hover. I hate that image. I hate the image that puts in my head. I'm not telling you what it is, but I hate that goddamn image. Ugh. I don't want to imagine this thing floating, actually. Ugh. We're gonna do a 1d3. We're just gonna do a 1d4. So... 1. Well, hang on a minute. Where's you? God dang it. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, and 4 we'll say is someone instead of
Alright.
okay. So that is okay. Cool. Let me roll a perception check real quick. Okay. Alright. Okay. Roguefort is, of course, going to nod, and he's going to give you a pet.
Now, you do not want me to leave yet. Are there any questions you would feel are safe to ask? Or is that all?
I don't think so. Not that I can think of right now.
I'm sure you'll think of some eventually. In the meantime, why don't we head back out to the dining hall? I want a little bit more meringue.
Alright.
Unless you have other places you would rather be?
No, not really. I'll have some meringue too. The tart was really nice.
Thank you. I shamefully admit I would like to cook a little more often, and cook a variety, and baking is especially nice because many things are soft enough they can easily pass through, but it is nice to know that the parts have remained pristine, messy.
Yeah, I know how to cook a bit, but most of them I know, at least by heart, are stews.
Stew's not bad. You can get a lot of variety with stew.
Mm-hmm, you can.
Well, come on. It's honestly very dark in here. I would really rather go somewhere where I can actually see part of the sun.
Alright, as Mad Lab follows him.
Roguefort leaves the room and shuts the door behind him. The camera lingers on the study for a moment. Because as Roguefort left, there almost seems to be sort of. It's weird. It almost seems like a animation inconsistency at first. Because for a split second, only to the audience, not to you or to Roguefort, because you didn't see it,
Mm-hmm.
it looked like Roguefort almost had two shadows for a frame. But when he leaves, he just has his shadow and he's just going along normally. And it's just one. However, when it lingers in the room, it's realized that's not a frame inconsistency because a shadow attached to the nearby desk slowly, silently heightens to a humanoid shape. The figure seems turned toward the door for a moment, before carefully disappearing into a crack in the floor. Unfortunately, as private as Roguefort wanted that conversation, it's not gonna stay private.
Yeah, and this is why Mad Lad wanted to talk to him, because he has experienced before that if plot doesn't get resolved now, it will be later, whether you want to or not, and he'd rather have Roguefort do it willingly.
I mean, if you want to, I could make a stealth check and we'll see if you at least hear something.
I mean, fair, if you're gonna allow me to do so. I say you said stealth or perception.
You roll perception, I roll stealth.
Ah, yes. Uh, that's not gonna cut it.
What is it?
I don't think it will cut it.
Give it a sec.
Though I am bad at math. Okay, I'm bad at math, and that somewhat cuts it.
Just slightly. As you're leaving, you don't really. It kind of feels like a little breeze more than anything else. Which makes sense because Roguefort opened the door and there was a draft. But Roguefort is already leaving, and when he looks back, he kind of waves for you to follow after him along with the other dinner critters.
Come on.
How should I roleplay this? Mad Lad just
If you do look back, you don't see anything.
yeah, Mad Lad probably just stops for a moment, almost maybe even getting like a sixth sense. And it's just like he turns around and he sees nothing.
Well,
So
you do see one thing. You left the door to the room cracked. It wasn't actually shut. Oopsies!
yeah, Mad Lad, and this is from them leaving. So Mad Lad slowly closes the door, and he now does Roguefort want to make an insight check?
Sure. So, let me zippity bibbity bip on over to his sheet over here real fast. Insight. He only gets a +2, bless his heart.
Well, this DC isn't. I was gonna
That's
say
a dirty 20.
I mean,
Sometimes I should open my mouth. Most of the time I shouldn't.
I mean, I was about to say this DC wasn't gonna be really high, but yeah, as Mad Lad follows you back to the kitchen for that delicious meringue that he made earlier, he could tell Mad Lad is instantly on edge about something, almost in a hunter's way of like being alert and like sort of looking trying to say it's just like he's not looking around because he pretty sure that it was back in the room, but still sort of that hunter's almost anticipation, like he should be he say something is up.
Roguefort notices this, but decides that in the back of his mind he chalks it up to him still being tense about the whole conversation about the hags and the head chefs. So cuts him a slice of lemon meringue pie, puts it on he puts it on his little empty plate, and gives it to him. And then cuts himself another slice.
Yeah, Mad Lad sits down and he's just like he didn't see anything, but it's just like his sixth sense never he's like his sixth sense is just like it's rarely wrong about something. And he's just like so he doesn't want to make didn't know exactly what was happening or what was in the room, but Mad Lad just eats a bite of meringue pie and he does smile a little bit, and he just sighs. He's like, Roguefort,
We?
I'm sorry about this, but and what we talked about, but I only do so because after being here for so long on Inkwell, you start to see patterns. You start to see unseen structures in a way, conventions. And if you don't deal with a problem right away, it will come to you and it will come to a head. And I wanted to be ahead of something for once instead of being dragged behind and having to catch up.
I can understand that feeling very well. In this situation, however, you need to consider that while there are some circumstances outside of my control, it does not directly impact EGAD and does not directly pose you or anyone else here an issue. In this situation, I would say it is probably safer for everyone involved to let it pass. It is not a problem unless someone makes it one.
Mad Lad just gives a little nod and continues eating his meringue. He's like, "All right, I say I'll drop it now fully."
Thank you. I do appreciate it. And I will do my best in the future to try not to die in front of you again. I understand that was horrific. I
It
really should have been able to see him coming, but I've gotten a little rusty.
eh, it's not exactly your fault, but I mean, it's just
It was nobody else's fault either. Don't even take the blame.
you don't understand what I say. This is twice now in my life. It's hard not to, but I don't want to talk about that. And he continues eating.
And Roguefort will not ask.
I understand the voice change was on, I just didn't want to turn it off for a sec.
Now you're fair.
So, as the two of you just relax in the mansion and eat while the wind absolutely billows outside and the clouds start to roll in, taking away bits and pieces of what light the day has. Winona, would you roll me the 3d20 for how the weather changes at the end of the session?
Alright, 3d20s. Let's see. First one, 14. Second one, 10. Third one, 12. So, say 14, 10, say 12. And.
You don't have to add it together.
No,
Just
no,
the
no, no, I was just typing them out.
The wind that previously howled about the day starts to quiet down as the clouds roll in and it starts to eventually darken outside. Not darken in the way of evening, but in the way of cloudy afternoon where the sun is disappearing. And as the camera pans out on that, it's not focused on. It's meant to be a subtle little animated bit. But a little black something walks out of the shadow of the mansion and into the shadow of the forest and disappears.
Hee 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 hee.
I need to roll 2 more things before we end this FPS.
Alright, let's see it.
So the first thing is... Okay, so what is your... Okay, you get a +4. Not bad. Ten's not gonna notice, unfortunately. And let me roll for one more person. Well, actually, let me roll 1d2. 1 is for her, 2 is for the shadow. Okay, I roll for her instead.
I was wondering.
Give me a moment.
Oh yeah, they did that. They say, I was wondering, but no, they did add it later. I see.
Okay, so okay. The last little thing that happens doesn't really happen anywhere near the mansion. It actually happens in a little bit of a forest some distance away, though it looks identical in art style. A little green pixie, this glowing light in the woods, is kind of stealthily trying to flit about toward a particular place. Toward an apartment, even. And it's unclear when this happens, but when this happens, Roguefort is no longer in the mansion. So he has clearly gone back to whatever this apartment is. And the light seems to notice this and approaches, or starts to approach, the apartment. The light does not leave the woods. There is a very swift movement and a ksunk, and only the slightest squeaking of a lid as the pixie that was going to approach the apartment and talk to Roguefort is popped in a jar. She swats at the jar and starts trying to swear up a storm, but then looks back at who's got the jar and freezes up. And a pair of white and red frosted eyes glares back. And that's it.
Hoo hoo hoo, the plot thickens.
One of the 4 pixies that Roguefort and Otto had previously spoken to is not going to be alive the next time. They are now down to 3.
Dang.
But that's not an important thing for you. That is a surprise tool for someone else to find out about later.
Fair enough. Alrighty.
I believe that is a good point to conclude.
Oh, yeah? I think so too. Thank you so much for doing this.
It was fun. Love role-playing the complicated emotions. Love running the boy through the ringer again.
Oh yeah, I even cried in some role-playing parts just to get into it. It's just like, ooh, it was so good. Ugh, this boy.
The boys.
Indeed.
Here's hoping Roguefort doesn't kill him in the future.
Yeah.
Because, unfortunately, you'll see later.
Yeah.
You'll see later.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that has been questions from the crew. Thank you for listening. Please maintain your safe social distance. If you can, I would still recommend wearing your mask, even if the mandate is no longer up. Remember to wash your hands, get your solid 8 hours of sleep, have 3 square meals a day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.